Give me 1 minute to remember all the Vietnamese soldiers as well as American soldiers who died in the Vietnam War.
Thank you, Mandy. Thank you, Hong Mi. Very nice. Well, you can see what kind of a person he is, and I think I'll start off by telling you a few of the details of the dogfight from my perspective, and then let Hong Mi tell you how that dogfight went through the eyes of himself and from the seat of a MiG-21, just like this. But on April 16th, 1972, I was assigned to Basco flight of 4 F-4Ds flying out of Udon, Thailand. And our mission was to protect other American F-4s that were on bombing missions to targets in and around Hanoi. Since 1968, there had been a bombing halt, and so we had not been flying missions like this for quite some time. But the heat was being turned up at that time in hopes of bringing more serious discussions about peace to the peace negotiations currently going on in Paris. Basco flight took off about 7:30 in the morning. Tried to rendezvous with our assigned flight, but for some reason they didn't show up in time, and they had some sort of maintenance difficulty. And then my flight leader, Fred Olmsted, who was here at Sun and Fun, I might say, for the first couple of days, he had to go home. But he made a courageous decision at that time and decided that we would immediately divert to our secondary mission, which was basically searching for MiGs and see what we could find by pointing our noses directly at Hanoi. We dropped our centerline tank, pushed up the power, accelerated in across the border, and just about that time, Fredo's backseater picked up 2 bandits, and the radio call, which has been preserved, I might say. We're delighted to have a recording of the radio transmissions that went on that day. But he picked up 2 blue bandits on the nose at 20 was Stu Moss's radio call from the back seat of Fredo's airplane. We jettisoned our inboard tanks at that time and again pushed the power up to pick up speed so that we were ready to engage. And the 2 silver MiG-21s tracked right down the radar scope. And then as they got closer, we picked up a visual on them. Fredo called them out, and then we did a hard right turn to, after we had visually identified them as bandits, then we started a hard right turn to chase them down and hopefully obtain the victory. Hong Mi was in the second element of the flight of MiG-21s, and he was flying a camouflage MiG that day. And the strategy was that the 2 silver ones would go in very, very fast and high, and again be sort of bait for us to chase. And their strategy was then for Hong Mi and his wingman to come up behind us and engage us from a position of advantage right there. We made the hard turn to the right, and again Hong Mi popped up and I saw him, and then we engaged each other in, again, by dogfight standards, a very intense and very long dogfight. Most dogfights from early in history, from World War I days all the way through World War II and Korea, are much less than a minute in length. They happen very, very quickly. But ours lasted over 4 minutes. My wingman, Greg Crane, and I fired 5 missiles at Hong Mi, all of them missing, or malfunctioning or missing. And a big part of that was his skillful maneuvering of the MiG-21. Very difficult fighter pilot. But with our F-4s and our power advantage, we were able to fly more in the vertical and maintain the advantage. Finally getting to the point where I was able to get a radar lock on and fire an AIM-7 Sparrow missile at minimum range. About 4,000 feet behind Hong Mi, I fired the AIM-7 Sparrow. It came out and ignited, did a little barrel roll like this, and at first I thought it was malfunctioning too, like the other ones had done. But what it was really doing was pulling lead, just like if you were shooting clay pigeons or quail or something like that, you have to point way out in front. And Hong Mi was in a descending hard turn at a very steep pitch angle and turning to the right like this. But I was able to maintain a lock-on of the Sparrow tracked on that radar beam, impacted his airplane where the right wing joins the fuselage, and blew the right wing completely off the airplane. The airplane had flame and smoke pouring out of it. It did a quick snap roll, and then out pops Hong Mi in his parachute. It was right in front of me, and I had to aggressively maneuver the airplane to keep from flying through his parachute. This is a very unusual occurrence in a high-performance airplane for the pilot to survive the impact of a missile like this Sparrow. And a lot of the credit for that, I think, goes to Hong Mi. As you can see, he's a strong man and he's in great physical condition, and he was back then. But you can imagine the G-forces he must have been under at that time. So I quickly maneuvered my airplane, rolled it up like this because I wanted to be sure Jeff Feinstein, who was in my back seat, saw the big pilot in his chute so he could help confirm this victory. And we went by him within probably 100 feet of it in full afterburner, going about 550 knots. I could see him clearly in his black flying suit. And the parachute was horizontally extended because of our speed. He wasn't hanging like this, he was like this. But I could see him clearly. And at the same time that this was going on, my flight leader, Fredo Olmsted, chased down the two silver ones that came over, and he shot down one of those. And so a flight of 4 F-4s, no air refueling support, which was very unusual because we had a long way to go from Udon, Thailand up to the Hanoi area and a long way to get back home. But it was a very